So I wonder if I'm curious if everybody that you have listening, that I'm sure some people can relate to what we're talking about. Some people probably can't, but everybody's got, I'm curious, like, everybody's got stories. Like, we all have our story, and we all catch ourselves all day long in our stories, and our stories are kind of driving our decisions. And we're in business, and we're looking for, we're driving business, we're selling, we're marketing, we're doing all these things. And if our stories from these ridiculous backgrounds, right, if they're full of toxicity, or they're full of judgment, or they're full of maybe it's anger or jealousy, or any of these things that really don't bring you to a good vibration, like where you should be happiness, joy, fun, gratitude. Like, it's people like us could carry these low vibe emotions through life. And I certainly did. That doesn't carry over well into business. And so I know for me, I was able to push through it because I have a good personality and I'm likable, but there were always these sort of demons, and I probably could have grown the business 10 times bigger had I made the changes 5 years earlier. Maybe there's value in us talking about like those stories and how they do impact our business or not.
Oh, sure.
And like getting out of our own way,
Yeah, no doubt. And that's most of it. Yeah. You're hitting the nail on the head, because you're really talking about self-sabotage, because we find a way.
Yes.
We find a way where we make it possible for us to achieve, but not too much, only because we have this weird, this context of, if we achieve to, at least for me, it was like, if I compared it to my dad, and this was from the personal work that I did, even just recently too, the stories as you're talking that your subconscious wires in yourself, that mine got me on both sides, to where, it was like, if I look at my dad and think that he didn't, or whatever traumatic experience in somebody's life, and for me, it was my dad, that he didn't accomplish enough and he died early. So it's like, well, that's got to happen to me then. If I don't accomplish enough, then I'm going to die early. But wait a second, because what if he was really fulfilled? And then now, if I achieve fulfillment, my dad died early. So that means that I could die early too. So I've self-sabotaged not to have too much, or just because of this context from society that you can't fill that gaping hole in your life with accomplishment. And if I try, then I'm like an A-list celebrity who spirals out of control and ends up ODing on some kind of drug or something like that. So then I self-sabotage just to not achieve too much. It's this weird paradox.
It's wow, it's so interesting, and it really is so true. I thought for my entire life, or by 12 years old on, that when I always had this sort of ticking time bomb in my head. Am I going to make it past 42? So not to be morbid, but I got past. I'm 48 now. But it was a weird thing. Like, you try to get as much in as you can. I try to get as much in as I can. I did a lot, right? And I had no reason to think that what my father's illness was going to be mine. It was ridiculous. It was an unusual thing. And, but we live with those kind of weird things in our head. And you talked about eating healthy. I became like a health nut and like a gym nut. And to this day, I still am. And I'm aware of it because my father died from cancer at 42. So I just went on this like, okay, I'm not going to have that happen to me. And I've lived my entire life in this like uber healthy way. And ironically, this is the most ironic part. And if there's nothing else that comes out of this, let this be a message to everybody who's listening or who might listen. I'm an extremely healthy guy, and I can see you are too, right? So I have high cholesterol. I don't know why. It's genetic, I guess. I shouldn't have it, but I do. I don't like taking any drugs or any medications. So I never took anything. So I moved to Florida. I go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, okay, high cholesterol. I'm like, oh, no, I've always had it. She's like, well, let's look a little deeper and see if the high cholesterol, let's look at the kind of cholesterol. So they did some more blood work. Like, oh, yeah, it's a fluffy kind. That's not good. So they sent me for something called what's it called? Calcium score. Like, it's like a CAT scan of your chest. And so I'm on the treadmill and my phone rings, and she's like, I got your results. She's like, it shows you're in the 65th percentile for your age. I'm like, what does that mean? She's like, well, that's plaque in your arteries. I'm like, so the thing shows that? She's like, no, it gives you an indication it's probably that. So I'm like, how could that possibly be? Like, look at me. There's no way. So now, so they send me to another doctor, and I go for some ultrasound and I'm laying on the table last week, and the guy is doing it. I guess he isn't supposed to tell me what he sees, so I don't want to get him in trouble. But needless to say, I could tell that he was like, why are you here? Because I'm so fit and my heart is in such good condition. But it doesn't mean my arteries are. It's not the same thing. So now they got me going for like a nuclear stress test in 2 weeks. It's like, there's so many people, and I'm sure I'll be fine. I'm not worried about it. But even if they find something, because I take care of myself and I go to doctors, because my father died young, I've always gone to doctors. I don't mess around with anything. I go right away. There's a lot of people that I know, and I'm sure you do too, and everybody who's listening can think of people they know that never go to a doctor, people that should go to a doctor. And it's like and especially if you own a business and you got a lot of stress and you're running around, and if you don't exercise and you don't eat so well, you probably should go to just get yourself checked out. And no matter how healthy you are, there's a good chance I have some sort of build up of plaque in my arteries. All right, I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to take care of it, and I'm going to live a long life. Had I not gone to the doctor on a regular basis and just taking care of it and things proactively, I don't know. I could have been a number 4 or 5 years from now with a heart attack or something. And it's now I look at people around me, and I don't want to impose my beliefs or my opinions on them, but there's so many people I know that I want to say, dude, you should go get checked out. Like, you got a pot belly, like you don't eat healthy, like go to the doctor. But you can't, because people get insulted. Yeah. But it's like and I actually attribute it probably to years and years and years of stress of being this type A, hard driving, out entertaining, networking, alcohol, food. Even though I'm super healthy, in a way I think that. So it's important as a business owner to make sure that you keep healthy, not just for yourself. The people that work on your team, your employees, they need you to be healthy. Your family needs you to be healthy, your wife, your kids. And so don't let the business and the stress of it and getting caught up in this like constant chase of the business get in the way of you being healthy. What you said before is that your father is the true health. It's being happy and fulfilled and grateful and being with your family and spending time with them, and let that rule your life. And you'll probably be a very healthy person,